What if there was a place where the valleys healed you and the mist remembered your name? Welcome to a new episode of The Soul Journals. Today, we journey to a land where the mist kisses the hills, where the earth wears a shawl of green, and time seems to walk a little slower. Cameron Highlands, tucked away in the heart of Pahang in peninsular Malaysia, just 200 kilometers from the hum of Kuala Lumpur and 85 kilometers from the quiet charm of Ipoh, lies a retreat suspended between earth and sky. At 5,000 feet above sea level, this is the highest point in Malaysia accessible by road, a cool escape cradled by clouds. Cameron Highlands is not just a destination, it's a living, breathing canvas of tea gardens, strawberry farms, mossy forest, and colonial echoes. Home to more than 43,000 souls from different walks of life, cultures, and stories. This hill station whispers tales of heritage, harmony, and the gentle rhythm of nature. Here, the air is cooler, the colors deeper, and the soul quieter. So come, let's slow down, let's wander, and let Cameron Highlands unfold itself, where every sunrise is a quiet poem written in mist. We began our journey from Kuala Lumpur at 4 in the morning. Before the city could awaken, before the rush could catch us, the roads were quiet, the world still stretching out of its dreams. As we left the city lights behind, the sky slowly turned gold and the sun began to rise, peeking through the palm plantations like a shy companion joining the ride. The drive was peaceful, almost meditative. We passed sleepy villages and wide open agricultural lands, where time seems to walk with a slower rhythm. A little detour gifted us a moment of pause. We stopped at Taman Rimba, a hidden waterfall nestled along the way. It was still early and we had the place almost to ourselves. The only sounds were flowing water, rustling leaves, and Ridhan's laughter echoing through the trees. He played, refueled with a snack, and lovingly washed his little toy car, as if it too was preparing for the journey ahead. There was stillness in the air, and in that moment I realized the journey had already begun long before we reached the mountains. If you are planning this journey, start early, because the roads that welcome you in stillness soon begin to fill with honks, weekend wanderers, and hill-bound traffic. After Around 4 hours on the road, with quiet detours and a heart full of anticipation, we finally reached the highlands, where the earth turns greener and the air colder. Our first stop was a place that looked like a painting come to life, the Cameroon Valley Tea Estate by the Bharat Group. Here, time slows and tea warms not just your hands but something deeper. We sipped a freshly brewed cup at the edge of the valley, watching the green waves of tea leaves stretch endlessly into the mist. The cafe served a few sweet delights too, simple, comforting, and made better by the breeze. After a gentle pause, we wandered towards the heart of the valley. You can walk the trail down, but Ridhan, wide eyed and excited, spotted something brighter than the tea leaves, a colorful buggy waiting like a ride in a fairy tale. He insisted, and how could we say no? So, for 20 ringgit per person, we rode through the lush green to the foot of the valley, a journey filled with laughter, wind in our hair, and the scent of tea all around. We stopped often to breathe, to stare, to let the stillness soak in. And of course, Ridhan was on a parallel mission to find ice cream. His eyes scanned every corner till they found that one magic cup. That moment of joy, dripping and cold, was all that he needed. Tea leaves danced all around us, neatly trimmed, endlessly rolling like soft green waves. The place is pristine, photogenic, and soul soothing. You could easily spend 2 to 3 hours here, not just to explore the landscape, but to sink into the quiet joy of being held by the tea leaves. As the mist began to settle on the slopes, it was time to find our little nest in the hills. We checked in to a place that felt less like a hotel and more like a warm hug. Dear Dino Villa nestled quietly along the hills of Tanah Rata, just off the winding road near the golf course. This charming boutique villa welcomed us like an old friend, spacious, serene, and thoughtfully designed for families who travel not just to see but to slow down, to connect, and to belong. The rooms were cozy, and the entire space felt like a home waiting to be lived in, with lounge corners of quiet conversations, a common kitchen for shared meals, and even a pool table for spontaneous laughter. Mornings here begin softly with a self-serve breakfast and bird song in the garden. There is a space to breathe, to run, to sit under trees and do nothing at all. Outside, the compound opens up like a secret vault, with barbecue pits, picnic areas, and little corners that invite you to pause. And for those who carry their spirit of adventure, dear Dino even welcomes tents. There are camping spots tucked within the premises. All you need to do is just bring your own gear, and the hills will take care of the rest.
Like, share, subscribe.
The next morning greeted us with a soft breeze and skies brushed in pastel hues, the kind of weather that calls for nothing more than a warm cup of tea and quiet company.
Mama, let's go up and down. Let's go down the street.
We set off early towards one of Cameron Highlands' most iconic places, the Sungei Tea Garden. The road that leads you there is narrow and winding, but every turn unfolds a new layer of green, like driving through a carpet woven entirely of tea leaves. This tea garden isn't just a tourist spot, it's an experience, a space where tea, time, and tranquility brew together. Set against the backdrop of undulating hills as far as the eye can see, BOH Tea Garden offers more than just a cup, it offers a moment. The cafe serves fresh, fragrant tea and soft baked treats. We found a spot near the edge, just us, a slice of cake, and clouds floating gently by. Ridhan, of course, was in his element, smiling between bites of cake, chasing breeze, and asking for one more bite before we could even finish ours.
Mama, cake it.
We sat for a while, talking about nothing in particular, just little things that fill the space between silence and laughter. A breeze danced through the valley, lifting strands of hair, rustling leaves, and carrying with it the scent of brewed tea and wet earth. It was one of those rare pauses where time doesn't rush and you don't feel the need to hold your phone or chase the next view. And in that gentle hour, nothing extraordinary happened. But sometimes it's the ordinary moments, the tea shared, the laughs caught in wind, the eyes that met without saying much, that become the memories we hold closest. Moments we will remember not for what we did, but for how it felt. The place does get crowded, especially on weekends. But if you arrive early, like we did, you will find your own little corner of calm among the crowd. Before leaving, we walked through the tea shop, picked out a few blends to take home. Souvenirs not just of taste but of memory. Inside, a small screen played quietly, showcasing how these tiny leaves journey from bush to brew. A thoughtful reminder of how every simple cup carries a story of soil, sun, and slow transformation. If you find yourself in Cameron Highlands, this place is a must. But come early when the hills are quiet, the tea is warm, and the day hasn't yet begun to rush. Our next stop was a place that felt like walking through a living painting. Cameron Highlands Flora Park, tucked within the lush greenery of Kia Farm. Rows upon rows of vibrant flowers, each more breathtaking than the last. Every corner whispered in color, every turn opened into yet another floral dream. The ticket, priced at 50 ringgit, gives you access to both indoor and outdoor sections, and it's worth every ringgit, not just for the sights but for the feeling of being wrapped in beauty. There is even a petting corner where joy runs free. Whether or not you buy food to feed the little animals, they gift you their presence. And for those chasing fairy tales, there is a Hobbiton inspired village, a whimsical world you can access with the park's high tea experience. And as always, my little star was ready, ready to pose, to laugh, to twill with the flowers, making every corner of the garden his own stage. We spent unhurried time here, sipping tea, strolling slowly, watching petals move in the mountain breeze. We found quiet joy at a small cafe, watched the clouds drift above fields of color, and shared smiles that needed no words. Flora Park wasn't just a place, it was an emotion, a soft bloom in the memory of this journey. Tucked between Kia Farm and Brinchang Town, we stumbled upon a place that surprised us with its quiet charm. Cactus Point, one of the oldest nurseries in Cameron Highlands. It's not a place that calls loudly, but once you enter, you find yourself walking through a forest of thorns, softly lit, beautifully arranged, and full of life. Some of these cacti were giants, older than me, older than you, standing tall like desert guardians transported into the highlands. There were rows upon rows of succulents, Pitcher plants, orchids, ferns, and even tiny Venus flytraps, each one waiting patiently for a home or simply a curious eye to admire their strange beauty. There is no ticket here, just the quiet joy of exploring something different. For those who love gardening or gifting something green, Cactus Point is a treasure trove. Prices are clearly marked in both English and Mandarin, and many small pots are beautifully affordable. You can get 4 tiny succulents for just 10 to 15 ringgit, a piece of Cameroon you can carry home. There is also a shopping section tucked inside, lined with local products, edible goodies, and souvenirs. And while not every cactus is for sale, they all have stories to tell about survival, growth, and blooming quietly in the harshest of places. Cactus Point may not be the loudest top on the map, but sometimes it's the quietest corners that leave the sharpest memories. Evenings here are meant for slowing, for warm meals, quiet conversations, and letting the chill wrap around you like a soft blanket. A time to rest, to refuel, and simply be. The next morning, we chose to wander a little farther to a quieter slope, a more humble cousin of the famous tea garden. We visited the BOH Tea Plantation at Habu, a place that welcomes fewer footsteps but holds just as much soul. Compared to the picture-perfect Sungei Palace, Habu feels raw, wilder, more grounded in nature's rhythm. There is no grand architecture or curated trails here, just open skies, silent hills, and a small cafe that serves tea with plenty of peace. There was no crowds, just the drizzle, the quiet clink of teacups, and space to simply be.
Okay.
But the real magic, it lies up at a hill behind the tea center. A 134-meter climb, around 200 worn out steps, guided by nothing but rusted railings and your own will. We took it slow, stopping often to breathe, to turn around, and watch the view evolved with every step. Ridhan climbed like it was a game, counting steps, chasing clouds, and somewhere along the climb, the sky opened up not with sunshine but with soft rain. At the top, the world stretched wide, an almost 360-degree view of tea valleys, draped in clouds and kissed by the bridge. There were wooden benches, a sense of space, and that rare feeling of being far from everything, yet deeply connected to it all. If you ever carry a flask of tea or a little snack, this is the kind of place where you will want to stay a while. Just remember to carry your silence up with you and your trash back down. Sometimes the roads less crowded offer the clearest views. After spending some quite misty hours at Habu's tea slopes, we found ourselves back on winding roads, searching not for views this time but for flavor. Tanha Rata town was our next stop. Modest, lively, and full of inviting aromas, with plenty of restaurants to choose from, serving everything from local favorites to Indian comfort food. We settled into Sri Brinchang for a warm, familiar meal. Simple food, satisfying silence, and that feeling of being just where it needed to be. By late afternoon, our curiosity woke us again and we headed out to one of the most bustling corners of Cameron Highlands, Kia Farm Bazaar. Once a humble morning market, it now stretches through most of the day, a mosaic of colors, smells, and voices. The traffic here tells its own story, vibrant, chaotic, unapologetic. We arrived well past the busy hours and found parking at the newer lot, shared with Cameron Highlands Flora Park, a hidden gem, especially with its free buggy service that whisked us right to the market entrance. The market itself felt like a celebration of freshness, of the land, of the people who call these hills home.
No.
We strolled through stalls brimming with fresh vegetables, juicy tomatoes, bright strawberries, and sweet corn, their colors glowing in the fading light. There were street food stalls sizzling with flavor, plant shops with rows of healthy succulents, and old aunties wrapping up sweet potatoes with seasoned hands. Ridhan darted between stalls, eyes gleaming with every new discovery. Kia Farm Market isn't polished, it isn't quiet, but it has heart. And in its noisy corners and muddy path, you find a kind of local joy that no guidebook can offer. As we left the hills behind, there was a stillness that lingered, like the last sip of warm tea that stays with you long after the cup is empty. Cameron Highlands didn't ask much of us, just to slow down, to breathe a little deeper, to notice the way clouds rest on mountains, or how a child finds joy in chasing wind and ice creams. We came here for a getaway, but what we found was gentler than that. We found presence. And in a world that's always rushing forward, maybe that's the most sacred thing we got. If this journey moved you, share it with someone who needs a pause, someone who needs to believe in quiet places again. And if you wish to wander slowly with me through more such stories, I would love to have you along. This was the Soul Journals from the heart of Cameron Highlands. Until next time, stay curious, stay tender, and may you always find beauty in the in-between.